Hello, my name is Aviv Maish. I've made an assembly fixture to help Lepton systems assemble their PCBs. In this video, I'm going to show the different features of the fixture that simplify the process of PCB assembly at Lepton systems. The most notable feature of the assembly fixture are these long legs that have these balls at the end. This allows the assembly fixture to be rotated in 5 different directions and placed down on a table in a way that still allows access for the PCB to be worked on. The assembly fixture keeps PCBs in place using these 2 sleds on either side of it. The sleds are triangular so they can hold PCBs of any width. I'm going to be demonstrating the use of the assembly fixture using Lepton's line card. The distance between the sleds is variable in order to accommodate PCBs of different lengths. Before a PCB can be mounted in the fixture, the sled rack needs to be set to the proper length. There are 2 positions that the adjustable rack can be set to, corresponding to 2 different PCB styles at Lepton: the line card and the fabric card. The gap you can see in the sled accommodates for the components that occur close to the edge of Lepton's fabric card. Now that the rack has been adjusted to the right height, we can now begin the assembly process. The assembly fixture has an Esd Strap that will neutralize any static discharge that begins to build up on the fixture, and this eliminates the danger of any harmful static discharges onto the card that could potentially damage the electronics. So this needs to be plugged in. It's important to also wear an Esd Strap yourself, and from here we can now insert the card into the sled. In order to affix the card in this position, a set screw underneath the fixture over here needs to be tightened, and doing this allows the card to be secured rigidly and eliminates any slack in the sled and the card. Now the card is rigidly attached and we can proceed with the assembly process. The card assembly process involves attaching a heatsink to both sides of the PCB. The heatsinks are separated from the PCB with spacers off of each side, and nuts hold the assembly captive from one side. This is problematic because when the components for one side of the PCB are placed on the board, they need to be held in position while the PCB is flipped upside down to place the components on the other side. So to fix this problem, the assembly fixture has a rubber sheet that's being simulated by this fabric cloth that you can roll across the PCB and the components that we just put on, and then attach using these hoops through some hooks, and these hooks allow the fabric, which is simulating the rubber sheet, to be pulled taut over the PCB, which will cause the heat exchanger and the screws and spacers to remain in place while the PCB is flipped over. Now the PCB is flipped over so that the components can be placed on the other side as well. Flipping the PCB is simple because the fixture can be easily manipulated by the frame and the PCB is held securely within it. Nuts are started on the screws that were passed to the PCB in the previous orientation. And now the nuts and the screws need to be torqued to the proper torque level using a torque wrench. In order to do this, we need to be able to access both sides of the PCB at the same time, so the PCB needs to be oriented vertically. That's really easy to do. We can just raise the PCB once more and lift it around and place it vertically like this. And now we have access to both the left side and the right side of the PCB. The rubber sheet can now be removed as the nuts keep the heat sinks together. A torque wrench and pliers are used to secure the heat sinks in place. Okay, so now all the screws are fully torqued down, and the PCB is fully assembled. So now all that remains is to actually remove it from the fixture, and to do this you just have to turn the fixture back over to the horizontal position. Unscrew the set screw that we tightened down in the beginning, and then the PCB can just be removed by sliding it out of the sled. And that completes the assembly process of Lepton Systems line card using the assembly fixture that I designed. As you can see, the PCB fixture makes PCB assembly at Lepton Systems much simpler, which increases the speed at which PCBs can be assembled, and it minimizes the risk of damage to them. In addition, the sliding rack can support both types of Lepton PCBs, and the rubber sheet makes flipping the PCB over during assembly less of a hassle. Most importantly, assembling a PCB is no longer a 2-person job. It can now be accomplished by 1 person alone. Thank you.